Conspiracy to deprive civil liberties. This is my case dismissed by the Eastern District Court of New York, dismissed again by the Second Circuit Appeals Court of New York, and denied on writ of certiorari by the United States Supreme Court. These civil right violating judges are involved in cover-ups for the crimes and human right abuses against me. They follow no set of laws or court rules. They are subjecting the people of this country to conspiracies to defraud and obstruction of justice with real threats to murder you for exercising a right to civil action and or exercising your freedom of speech right and exposing their misconduct. As relevant to my case, these court conspirators framed 3 individuals in a homicide trial for gang assault, sentencing one to 15 years, the second to 10 years, and the third to 5 years. They forged an indictment after the grand jury dismissed the charges against me, revoked my bail, taking my bond away, unlawfully incarcerated me for 3 months, forcing me to pay for a second bail. Queens County District Attorney, judges, and attorneys acted in collusion, did this to force me to be a state witness for them under duress to falsify testimony at trial against these defendants. After the trial, these court framers unlawfully sentenced me to a misdemeanor and then terminated the 3 years probation 2 weeks later to keep me quiet about their conspiracy to defraud. As a direct result of exercising my right to civil suit in reporting the corruption and misconduct, these state and federal officials formally engaged in an officially sanctioned campaign of gang stalking to prevent me from presenting my claims. The type of harassment the federal government used against me is called gang stalking, which is a covert government operation designed to destroy a target. Gang stalking is a method of harassment by a group of people against an individual in order to harass them and demean them on a consistent basis over an extended period of time. They authorized the police and FBI to pursue me through wiretaps to my phone and internet service and installed a GPS in my car while being in the Kings County Family Court. Subsequently, they authorized the FBI to terrorize me with death threats for suing these state judges. In the Berks County Family Court, they instructed Mid-Penn to deny me legal services and represent the mother. The Berks County Family Court judge then deprived me my right to present witnesses at an evidentiary hearing and deferred my case to New York without concluding the jurisdiction matter, so these court framers in New York can frame me for domestic offenses. The Kings County Family Court judge acted in conspiracy with the mother's attorney and the attorney they assigned to me, framed me for menacing in the second degree for a crime she never even alleged or testified to taking place. Together, they staged a mistrial since the mother failed to allege abuse on the stand, and then edited the court transcripts to cover up their fraud. The defendant judge coerced the mother on the stand, deprived me my right to counsel and right to cross-examination, and refused to enter any relevant evidence to the case. He declared emergency jurisdiction to deprive me my right to parenting and communication with my child for over 2 years now, in a malicious attempt to force me to relinquish my custody rights. In summary, this civil right violating family court judge was strong-arming me into giving the court jurisdiction by and through the deprivation of communication with my son. These said volatile acts were done with the consent and authorization of the United States federal courts, which refused to protect me from the state judge's abusive acts. Moreover, they instructed the mother's cellular phone company, T-Mobile, to withhold her phone records that were under subpoena and held me in contempt of court to prevent my witnesses from being heard during the jurisdiction proceedings. These lawless New York State appellate court judges then modified their 6-month order of protection after it expired by its term to 5 years in a continuing conspiracy to defraud. Subsequently, the New York State Appeals Court then deprived me the right to appeal against their fraud. Next, They simultaneously, in a continuing pattern of harassment, utilize hospitals and medical facilities to deprive me of medical care and medications, Social Security benefits, and interim assistance from the County Assistance Office in order to prevent me from pursuing my claims. Moreover, they then utilized the Reading Water Authority to extort me for money through unlawful turnoffs, cut off my water supply, forcing me to live without running water to my home for 8 months, and were ordering me to vacate my home. These are just some of the things they did. These federal and state officials violated my First, Fourth, Sixth, Seventh, Eighth, and 14th Amendment rights, acting in concert in a conspiracy to defraud. They violated the Social Security Act of 1935, the Child Jurisdiction Enforcement Act of 1997, and other statutes and constitutional provisions, which resulted in destroying my relationship with my child. In summary, the Supreme Court has denied my writ of certiorari against these corrupted officials, which presents legitimate questions over federal law to cover up the corruption. In short, what these corrupt officials are really saying is if you're not a suburban white citizen of this country, you have no right to a trial for crimes and human rights abuses committed by public officials. So let me speak plainly. Our rights to sue and freedom of speech is being trampled on. We are living in a dictatorship. Our rights to parent our children is trampled on, and we are being framed for criminal offenses in these courts. We are living in a dictatorship. Our right to present witnesses and cross-examine in court is trampled on. We are living in a dictatorship. We are threatened with murder and being subject to live in a hostile living environment for exercising our rights. We are surely living in a dictatorship. This type of dictatorship is called despotism. It can mean tyranny, dominance through threat or punishment or violence. These modern dictators usually use force or fraud to gain power and then keep it through intimidation, terror, suppression of civil liberties, and control over the mass media. So long as we the people tolerate these modern dictators, their corruption only worsens and they become more aggressive in their underhanded deeds. They say it's anti-government shenanigans to stand up for the rights the people of this country have so long fought and struggled for. I say it's government shenanigans to deprive people of their children, frame innocents in court, and murder citizens for exercising their rights. Let's not forget the deaths of Senator Schaefer and her husband, Pam Gaston, Sonny Shue, and Michael Hastings. These are just a few of the many victimized citizens, which simplifies what it means to live in a real dictatorship. In order for us to have a real democracy in this country, we have to first begin by weeding out these corrupted public officials. If there is no justice in this country, then there can be no peace. History teaches us that justice only prevails in this country if we fight for it. These government officials have forgotten their oath to office. Upon concluding the jurisdiction matter, this framing judge holds over the decision for 9 months to continue depriving me of my son. Here's what's happening now. The attorney and framing judge were replaced by some new court conspirators, and his last order, he subject me to some more fraud, declaring New York the state having jurisdiction. These new court conspirators picked up right where he left off, refusing to let me see my son and conspiring to award the mother custody. The district court judge of Allentown, Pennsylvania, acting in conspiracy with the rest of the court conspirators, holding up the case against the Social Security Administration for approximately 1 year now. On a motion to dismiss, which was frivolous, he left it undetermined for 8 months. The case against the Reading Water Authority in the Berks County Court of Common Pleas, the judge denies my first request for leave to amend and orders me to arbitrate, violating my 7th Amendment right to a trial and the Federal Arbitration Act to cover up their fraud. and possibly induce some more fraud through their arbitrators. Please don't forget to read in my Dropbox my writ to the Supreme Court. In this last segment of the video, I have set up a brief display of some of the evidence against these forces for you to view. Additional evidence can be viewed in my Dropbox at the link displayed during the course of this video. You can go there and read the court transcripts, and you will see the mother does not testify to being physically threatened with a firearm as convicted by this framing judge. These first two documents are self-explanatory. They are forged in an indictment. You notice that their signature is scribbled and there's no signature for the district attorney. This next document is the order from the court terminating the probation to keep me quiet about their conspiracy to defraud. These next 4 pages are the attorney's motion to withdraw from my case. If you'll notice, the first page, the second paragraph, he admits to walking inside the courtroom to greet me, as opposed to what the transcripts will say in the next few pages, that I went outside to the hallway as instructed by the court to meet their attorney. They did this to cover up their fraud. Also, if you will notice, the judge is hinting to the mother's attorney about declaring a mistrial. He's preparing her for when the lawyer walks into the courtroom so she can act like she's opposed to the mistrial, when in fact she's for the mistrial because the mother failed to allege abuse on the stand. These next documents are the opposition for my order to show cause against the court and the attorney proceeding without jurisdiction. You see in these documents the judge and the lawyer made up this case, Richardson versus Richardson. They made up this case law to give themselves jurisdiction to proceed on offenses alleged in the state of Pennsylvania. This is the trick usually used by prosecutors when they want to undermine a defendant that does not know about the court's jurisdiction. This next document is the mother's attorney again committing fraud and perjury. Under the penalties of perjury, she states that it was necessary for her and the judge to declare emergency jurisdiction in order to protect the mother and the child, but doesn't indicate which one they were protecting. Okay, these are the transcripts which prove that the mother's attorney and the judge were acting in a conspiracy to declare emergency jurisdiction, that there was no emergency at hand, and they did this just to deprive me of my rights to parent my son, and they also at the time were trying to force me into giving up a visitation order from the state of Pennsylvania. Okay, this next document is the court's order for subpoena of the mother's phone records. When he signed the order, he said that he would sign the order, but he didn't think that T-Mobile would hand over those records. When I sent the subpoena to T-Mobile, they sent me back this document which states that they don't own the number does not belong to them. I subpoenaed Sprint for those records, and Sprint said that that number belongs to T-Mobile. During the whole family court proceedings, T-Mobile withheld
those phone records, which proved her sending me threatening text messages. Next, these are photographs of the GPS they installed in my vehicle. If you notice on the left hand corner of the GPS, it states ABS plus PC, which means brakes plus computer. What happens is when you step on the brakes, it sends a signal to the PC letting them know where my location is. This next document was sent to me by a state worker, which obviously blocked out her name from the complaint. It was sent to me after they were conspiring to enter my premises without a warrant, and they were shutting off my power through the electric supply company to drain my alarm battery to the home. This next document is the first threat that I received from the FBI while browsing the internet. They threatened me after I had just finished filing the lawsuit against the judge. They threatened that if I continue with these lawsuits and anti-government shenanigans, they'd be forced to take care of the problem.